to the Life Podcast, where life stands for Live Inspired Fully Every Day. Join our host, world-class speaker, executive coach, and leadership strategist, Anissa Rashad. Each week, as she sits down for an intimate conversation with business executives, influencers, and artists who are at the top of their game to reveal the strategies they use to excel in their respective fields and their personal lives by unpacking their spirit. Each episode is guaranteed to help you lift a load, tackle a problem, gain a new perspective, while having a laugh in the process. Now here's your host, Anissa Rashad. Welcome to the Life Podcast. We are super excited to have joining us today, Lorna Little, CEO and President of St. Anne's. Lorna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited about life. So being here with you is exciting.
Well, the great thing about you, life stands for, as you guys know out there, live inspired fully every day. And Lorna is a person who truly epitomizes living inspired fully every day, not only in her personal life, but bringing inspiration to so many people through the work that she does. So a little bit about Lorna is she is currently the president and CEO of St. Anne's. Formerly, she was the executive director for a program for women and children and families. She's a former TV show host, TV show producer. She's an author, a speaker, a licensed clinical social worker, and a lot of fun. So Lorna is one of those people, when I look at her, she actually inspires me. And one of the things that I am very impressed with is that Lorna has taken all of her gifts, all of these gifts that she's been blessed with, and she's been able to channel those gifts into the C-suite. And I know for me, I have a lot of clients, coaching clients, who are blessed to have multiple gifts. They're gifted in many ways, and oftentimes they struggle to figure out what's the correct path for them. Should they be doing artsy stuff, or should they be doing technical stuff? Or how do they take all of these gifts that seem like they're not related and then bring them together to really help them get to where they want to be and where they desire to be in their life? And so, Lorna, my first question for you is, how in the world did you take all of them? Did you go from TV, social work? How did you take all of those gifts and channel them into the C-suite?
Well, it's interesting because as I even listened to your question, I realized that a lot of it had to do with following my purpose. And at times in our life, those different things and experience that I had, they happened in different phases, some of them simultaneously, but following my passion and purpose at the time and never denying myself an opportunity to follow my interests allowed me to be able to blend them and keep that common thread of people, human experience, and be about helping people through it all. And so I think one of the things that happens is that we have been taught, in our families, that we only have one path. And because of that mindset, we deter even our children sometimes for saying, no, you have the capacity to do and be anything that you want. And that doesn't mean that is one thing.
I love it. We just got back off of a cruise, and I was reading Michelle Obama's book.
Oh, Becoming. I love it.
Becoming, absolutely. And one of the things she talks about, the question that she hates when someone looks at a kid and says, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if you're going to be just one thing.
You know how many times people have alluded to, well, what career are you going to pick? Or, won't you be a Jill of all trades and a master of none? And I say, I don't see it that way, because everything that you mentioned, from television to writing the story to being a licensed clinical social worker, a speaker, they all tie together, and they all make me the best CEO that I can be, because I know what it's like for people to have dealt with challenges, as I write about in, Mum's the Word. I know what it's like to go out there and face a group of women and have to share and talk about personal experiences and people talking about challenges. I love the underdog.
Yes.
I am always going to be the person that fights to say, do not be a statistic. Whatever that negative statistic that has been assigned to you, that is not your assignment from God. You can be all who you want to be.
So what I hear you saying is two things I would take away. If you're a person who's out there who is multi-gifted, who has gifts in multiple areas, and you're not exactly sure what to do with them, how to channel them, how to package them up, what I just heard Lorna say is, one key thing I heard her say is find that common thread. Find that common thread through those things which seem like they're all disparate, right? They seem like they're all over the place. Find the common thread. And then the second thing I heard her say is blend them.
Yes.
Right? You were doing some of these things
Yes.
at the same time,
Yes.
right? So your
Yes.
life isn't always linear,
Yes.
right? And be open to maybe taking something that looks like a divergent path, but was really putting you, properly positioning you
Exactly.
for where you're ultimately going to go.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
And there are times, yes. And there are times when you will realize, in hindsight, wow, this situation, this, speaking engagement that may not have seemed connected made all the sense in, down the line, because you see that was the training ground to prepare you for that next moment.
I love it.
Every experience is also a teachable moment, even the ones that aren't the greatest experiences, and we have to utilize that for our benefit.
The ones that look like failure, they present as failure, right?
Yes.
The gifts that come to us wrapped in sandpaper, they're not all pretty,
Yes.
they're not shiny
Yes.
with a nice bow.
Yes.
Oftentimes we get our greatest learning
Yes.
that can move us, accelerate us down the path
I
through
always
those
say
failures.
there's a weight of the gift.
Oh.
Sometimes we're not ready, but there's a weight that comes with the gift, and we have to know that at that moment we have to be able to manage that.
So I know something that you and I have in common. Both Lorna and I relocated to California from the East Coast. Me 10 years before she did, but we both had companies that relocated us from the East Coast. And I know that there is a lot of decision making that goes into making a decision. Lorna's originally from Connecticut, so making a decision to kind of pick up your life, your family, and move to a place where you don't really have that established network. So, on the East Coast, in Connecticut, Lorna is a rock star. If you see all the wards she has around this office right here, she literally is a rock star where she comes from. And so to leave that space to come in, almost in some ways it feels like starting over. So tell me a little bit about that, your decision-making process to accept the position, and what that's been like for you.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It is starting over in a sense. To leave an arena where I was well-known, popular, successful, had major contacts and influence, to take an opportunity to start anew, in line though with the purpose and the mission that I've set out for, was a decision that I made in a way that I feel like I basically took faith over fear. Because it is nerve-wracking to leave everything you know to come to the unknown. But what I did know is that I was selected in that role because I displayed the excellence. I was selected in that role because I had shown commitment and passion and met the challenges in that arena of work. But that is not something to take lightly. It is something that you have to know that you're going to that next level, that continuation of becoming. And so here now, I've moved out to Los Angeles, California, in a new arena to continue the work with women, children, and families. But it has allowed me to once again to have that thread of all the things that I've done to come together. Here I am working in the Hollywood arena, I've done television work.
Right.
I've done
Right.
work
Okay,
that
I
has
see
been
you.
in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are also saying, come to this show, come on this station and share about the work you're doing. That preparation on a television show allows me to go to KTLA and all the other stations and be here with you and feel confident and be able to share about my life's journey. But a decision like that is one that has to be thought through with family.
Mm-hmm.
You have to transition in a way that you think about. I'm blessed that my children are adults, so I don't have to worry about what school system they'll go into and those details. My husband and I came together. That transition, he has been supportive. He was like, you deserve this. You go first, and then I'll come second. And he's been out here so much that everyone feels like he already lives here. But that's a process because we have a home there.
Absolutely.
And we have a home there and here. And so I believe that that is a part of what has been helpful for me throughout my career is just as I haven't limited myself with different fields and different aspects, I almost limited myself with this opportunity because when I first got the email, I have to be transparent. I initially said, my friend sent the email and said, there's a job for you, Lorna. I said, but it's in California. It couldn't be for me. But after a few moments, I was able to think that through and say, this is an opportunity that I am going to turn down because of location. Blessings don't have distance on them.
All right now. Blessings don't have distance. Another thing came up for me as I listened to you talk about this transition. So I know that when you were on the East Coast, you worked at an organization where you did what you primarily do here, except for here you're doing it on a bigger level,
yes.
A larger scale.
Yes.
So now for the women or men who are listening, who are oftentimes asked to play at a bigger level, but may not feel that they're ready, right? That whole imposter syndrome
Yes.
comes into play.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, kind of what was going on internally for you so that they can understand that it happens to everyone,
Yes.
and what made you decide to, hey, go ahead and really take the leap to do it.
That's a great question. First of all, I was informed after this national search was finished that there were over 100 people that applied.
Wow.
And as I hear that and think about the fact that they thoroughly vetted me and, the others, you know in your heart that you're qualified. But there will be those times that you have doubts. You wonder, am I going to be the best in this role? But then you have to step back and say, yes, I am. If they selected me out of 100 individuals, then I'm the one. And I also believe, it was ordained and planned in advance.
Right.
That this was where I was supposed to be. But I think we all have moments in our careers and at times because we aren't sure of what the future holds. But we have to make sure that we prepare ourselves. That's the critical piece. Scaling up, I had a lot of people tell me back then that I was a big fish in a small pond. So I was ready to leap into that big ocean and come out to Los Angeles.
That Pacific Ocean.
That Pacific Ocean.
And so when I hear you, it makes me think about something I share often. You don't have to be the best, but you have to do your best.
Yes.
And so even coming into the role, when you put the pressure on yourself, I got to come out here and be the best person, that's a lot of pressure that's sometimes unbearable. But if you come out here and say, I'm going to come out here and do my best, you are in control of that, and you can come each day and give your best to the organization.
And knowing that what my best means is what allows me to do my best.
Absolutely.
I'm working on behalf of young women, children, mothers, some of who are homeless, some of them are pregnant and parenting, and the leadership that I provide is going to help them reach their optimal potential. So I can't afford to half step because I feel like I almost have people's lives in my hand. So thank you for that clarification because I am doing my best because I believe our young women, children, and families, especially underserved populations, they need to have someone who looks like them, who talks and understands where they've been leading an organization. The first African American person in this role, and our organization is over 100 years old.
Wow. Over 100-year-old organization, first time African American. And that's you. I'm looking at her.
Yes.
Amazing. So this is my favorite part of the show. This is the part that a lot of people tune in for when I unpack your spirit. That's your SPIRIT. And so those are your strategies, kind of your secret sauce for success, the leadership principles that you utilize and employ, what you're doing in terms of innovation, your rituals, where you go for inspiration, and your tools. So let's just get started with your secret sauce. So Lorna, what is your secret sauce to success?
Part of that secret sauce for me is my faith. You know, everybody comes to this in a different place, but my faith in God has allowed me to see gates that may be closed and see them opening. My faith allows me to be able to take the steps needed to get to that next level. I believe in being prepared as well. I think that's very important. You know, you have to know your field, your arena, and people can't take that away from you. That education, I couldn't be here being a former young mother myself, leading an organization with a massive campus, over 350 employees, had I not had the faith, but also the preparation.
I love it. I love it. So principles, what principle has served you well as a leader?
There are a few. I'll be brief, but honesty, transparency, and knowing that it's not just all about me. You have to treat everyone with respect. I have always been the individual that says hello to the maintenance staff and to the other leaders. I'm the person that will build a relationship with both because they're all just as valuable. And when you treat people with value and respect and be transparent and honest when things are going well and when they aren't going well, that makes all the difference.
That's one of the things that I love about you as a speaker is the way you're able to connect with the groups that you speak to. And what I believe one of those kind of secret sauce is that you are transparent. You're very transparent, very relatable, and you have this ability to get everybody in the room connected, like from the stage. And people who speak, they know that's a gift to be able to, from the stage, get everybody in the room connected to the message that you're sharing.
And I think it's because I really truly care about people. I care about their success, whether they're on my team at work or they're a part of a team of friends and sister circle and colleagues. If you truly care about people and want the best for them, because I'm not one that, you know, I had a staff member tell me the other day, you can either step on someone to get ahead or you can lift them up. And she said, I appreciate you're a lifter.
Yes.
You lift people. And that was awesome for me to be in a newer role.
Yes.
Hearing that from someone unsolicited.
Oh, that's the
powerful.
type of feedback from your environment that lets you know you are actually living your values.
Yes.
Right? Not just espousing them, getting on the stage saying this is what you do, but you're actually living it. When as I think about that, it made me think about the folks who they're not able to be transparent as leaders. They feel like they have to be all buttoned up and have it all together and be perfect. So it actually takes a level of confidence to be able to come across and be transparent like that as a leader. So what are you doing right now? Because I know that moving to California was a lot and starting in a new role. What are you doing to reinvent yourself? And I want to know from two perspectives. Reinvent yourself, Lorna the person, but also your organization. You spoke about your organization being 100 years old, and like, what are you doing to around here? We're taping this live at Lorna's office. So What are you doing around St. Anne's
Yeah.
to reinvent St. Anne's as well?
Well, I think my mere presence here starts the reinvention. When you bring a set of values, and I am very strong on cultural competency and, diversity and inclusion, making sure that where we are now and where we're headed is clear to everyone who works with us, all of our stakeholders. And in terms of innovation, making sure that our client base, our program participants feel that value, feel the workshops and trainings and all the programs that we have, are they relevant to them in 2019,
Yes.
in 2020 and beyond? Making sure their voices are a part of the solution, as we say.
Yes.
Making sure that our staff are current on all the new innovative practices that are going on in child and family services. We have an early childhood education division. We have Head Start and Early Head Start. We have almost 600 families connected with that.
Wow.
We're making sure that that strategy lifts, that everything that we're doing now, that those young people that are here as 3 and 4 year olds will be in middle school before long, and someone can look back and say everything that we put into place
Yes.
has allowed them to be successful, because we know what happens when children get to a certain level and they've fallen behind. But our innovation is truly in making sure that our services are accurate and relevant for all populations right now and moving forward.
I wish you guys could see how the light turned on as soon as she started talking about the pride of ownership for the work that the organization is doing. And so what are you doing to reinvent yourself?
Personally, besides
Besides
moving
picking up your whole life?
3,000 miles across the country and replanting, I think it's just looking at the next phase. And what I mean by that is, women don't like to talk about their age, but let's just say I'm in the second half. And, I want to play the game the best way I can. Offense, defense, all of that. I'm not a big sports person, but I know enough.
Right.
And so making sure that I'm looking at where I'm going within this arena. I have done, I had surgery one time on my knee. And that downtime, I created art. And I did the art display, had an art show, continuing to look at how I can do that when I'm not down for surgery.
Did you hear that? I'm laughing because, you had surgery, you were down, and in your downtime, you created art. And not only did you create art, you had an art show. Who does that?
It was called Can You Hear Me? HAIR, because every exhibit had aspects of hair, and there were poems that went along with that. And so,
did you write the poems too?
Yes, I did.
I love it.
I did.
Love it.
I think because I wanted to make sure that each piece had the expression, and it was about our relationship with hair, especially women, and especially women of color. And so I just feel like the reinvention is allowing myself to be free and open to the opportunities that come my way. There's a documentary that some young millennials approached me about, and they said, "You've done Lorna's Corner for years." Now, I'm going to tell you, I was a young girl. I was a young around the way girl. And what I mean by that, I grew up in an urban environment.
Of course.
I was in my 20s, and I had this television show that started locally and turned into this large kind of entity that ended up having a clip of my footage that I own in P. Diddy's movie Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Wow.
25 years ago, this was done, sat dormant, and then he has his reunion tour, and here it is.
Wow.
I'm on there. So the young people said, everyone is utilizing your footage or coming to you. You need to have a documentary done about your journey, because the same questions you're asking about how those interconnections work and how did this and that happen, that story is about how a young girl decided she wanted a show, but chose the path of social work and psychology more so for a profession, and still kept that alive in her in a different vein. And even on a community level, how the trajectory just changed.
Amazing. Amazing. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So tell me what you do. Like what are you eating or drinking?
You don't want to ask
or do
about what I'm
like
eating.
what do after the holidays?
After the holidays,
we don't
maybe
want to
not.
talk about
No,
that.
no.
But like basically, this is the R, your rituals. So what rituals or morning routines do you use to help you be able to do all of these things?
Well, I start out with prayer. I wake up, and I really believe I need that time just to get centered, and prayer is important for me. A sense of gratitude for everything that has happened in the week, the day before, and even thankful for what's coming that I don't even know. I think preparing myself mentally, a schedule, helps me knowing as in terms of what's coming. But I think really looking, we're not supposed to. We do wake up and look at the phone and check all the different things we need to check. But
don't do that.
But
don't follow that
no,
piece of
no,
advice.
No. And it's not advice. I'm being, once again, me and my transparency is telling you what can happen. But I really do prayer, and I try to get out and try to exercise when I have the opportunity, because I think sometimes just being outdoors, there's an outdoor boot camp that I've been trying to get to in the morning, and just being out there and moving and just having that clarity is great. So rituals, prayer, movement, body, mind, spirit, everything that helps that kind of centering, allowing my mind to be clear, my body, my spirit, and I can start the day fresh and be a blessing, not a hindrance.
Love it. Love it. The next question I want to ask you is really around recharging your battery. And so it's the I, it's the inspiration. It's kind of like, who motivates the motivator? You're the CEO. You're the motivational speaker. You're the author. Like, you are the person that everybody else goes to get the advice, to get the information, to get the inspiration. When you're tired, when you're depleted, where do you go to get inspiration? What are your sources of inspiration?
That's a great question, in the sense that is a challenge for many of us.
Absolutely.
In that situation, because people do come to me in so many settings. But I find, oddly enough, when I'm at that space and place, my spouse is one of those. He is always that, comforting person that will share a kind word. But there's also, I find, oddly enough, when I'm giving and helping someone else, giving that word of inspiration, giving a person an opportunity to find that sense of freedom around whether it's a situation or shamefulness, it oddly enough regenerates me.
Fills you up.
So if I see where I've shared a word or had a conversation with someone and they're coming back and they're like, Lorna, you know what, this was helpful, I was able to do and accomplish XYZ, or I was able to maneuver and manage that situation, it fills me up. And that's why I say I'm a servant leader, because it's not that I don't get tired. It isn't that, I'm this, superwoman with a cape that's choking me. Because I tell you, ladies, that superwoman cape, sometimes that choking, because that cape is just a little too heavy. We're putting too much on there. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I realize that a part of what refuels me is helping others get fueled up. And I always say that we have to be conscious of when we are depleted and shut down sometimes from everything.
Absolutely.
One thing I'll say as well is, sometimes you can't go to everything. People love to invite you to everything. Sometimes you just have to say no and take care of yourself. Stay home, put your feet up, have some hot cocoa, and watch. Don't say it. Lifetime.
Don't say it. Don't say it. So what are 3 tools that you use to help you stay on top of your game? It could be an app, it could be a grocery delivery service, but 3 tools that you're currently using to help you stay on top of your game.
I do enjoy reading, So I do like to, have access to books and things, sometimes audiobooks. I am not always capable of sitting down and having a thorough read. So an audiobook I think is something helpful. And all kinds of,
Do you use Audible?
yes, yes. So
I have Audible. I
yes.
just found out about something recently that I'm losing my mind over. I love.
What
The
is it?
public library has a version of Audible that's called Libby.
I've recently heard about you
OMG.
can get them.
Oh, before I leave here,
Yes.
we're going to download your
Yes.
Libby.
Okay, thank you. I will
We're
check
doing that
Libby
before
out.
yesterday I was walking with my walking partner. I was like, hey, do you have Libby yet? And I
Okay.
took her phone. I downloaded Libby for
So-
her.
Oh wow! So that's amazing. So reading and staying up on current information. So that's more of an app, but it's just reading. I enjoy it. Also, Outlook. I tell you, if it is not on my calendar, it does not exist.
Exactly.
And my assistant and everybody knows it because it is very difficult to manage your day and all the meetings and all the things you need to do without having some type of device that makes that easier. There's even a conference call, I don't know, I think it's called Mobile Me, that you can set up your conference calls in there so that you can just hit it and it will call and it'll have your we'll have to talk about
Oh, so you
this.
guys should see how my jaw just
Yes.
dropped.
Well, it's Mobile Me, and that's another conference call app that makes your life easier. And I will double check the name. It's just in my phone. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
in there so long that I just know.
I'm going to get that one
Okay.
before I leave here today because I'm always having to dial in for calls
And
with my
you don't
coaching
want to
clients.
have to go back
all
and
those
look for the
passcodes.
yes. You
and-
put the passcode in. It's all of that is in there already. So you just dial, and it moves you through, and it's on your calendar. So yes.
So be
that's-
clear, I do these interviews so that you can get the nuggets, but I also do it so that I can get the nuggets. Like, I can't wait to use Mobile Me.
Okay.
And then what's the third tool you use?
The third tool is really, I would say, is just it's more. I don't know if it's a tool as much of just making sure that supervision is a tool. And I know you're talking apps and different things, but what helps me stay on top of my game is doing the supervision with my employees, my key execs. And the reason I say that in that fashion is that's how you continue to keep your ear to the ground. You're providing, but you're also hearing,
Yes.
and you're staying abreast. I tell people all the time, I don't like surprises. Maybe a surprise party or something like that. But other than that, you need to stay on top of your game.
Absolutely.
So people need to remember, supervision is a tool.
I love it. Last question, and then we're going to wrap. What's the one thing that you recommend to our Life Podcast listeners to help them live inspired fully every day?
I would say there are a few things that I realize that I've said over the years that just kind of have become slogans at times. I actually won an award from the job that I had many years ago with a sign on it says, don't let the problem blow your mind. And that is something I live by. Things will happen. Challenges will come. Mountains will appear. But you can't let the problem blow your mind. There's no way for you to get to that next level or continue to become if that's where you stop.
Right.
So that's one of the things. The other thing is that, I talk about ordinary excellence. I think it's important that people, you look for the superstar, the person who's excelling at 100 plus.
Right.
There's a lot of excellence, ordinary excellence that's out there. The day-to-day folks who are working very hard. I said it and I will say it again. I'm always looking and searching to support that underdog. And I know that language, but it's more about the fact that expectation, people don't expect enough of people.
Absolutely.
You hold people accountable, but you don't count them out.
Ooh, say that
You
again.
hold people accountable, but you don't count them out.
That's a tweetable.
And every time you think about that, years ago I did a speech where I talked about people coming to the table at a different place. You have people who had a silver spoon, and God bless them.
Mm-hmm.
You have some that had a plastic spoon, and they made the best that they can with it. And there were some that have made it with no spoon.
Wow.
And so when people come and interface with you and you're dealing with them in business or in personal life, you need to remember that people are coming to you from different arenas with different backgrounds and foundations. And so not that you change your expectation, but you manage how you communicate. You manage, I don't like condescension. You know, you have to make sure you treat people with respect and look at it from a place of strength. So we're there. Glass ceilings are being broken. We have brick ceilings sometimes. I tell you, whether you break the ceiling with your steel toe boots or your stilettos, just make sure you break through. And remember, it's all of us together.
Yes.
We can't just be happy that we're here. If I'm happy because I'm here in the C-suite all by myself,
Right.
and I'm not worried about all those who come behind me. There was a young woman in the garage one day when I was leaving, a client, a young mom, and she looked at me and she looked at my car and she said, "Ooh, that's a nice car." I said, "Thank you." She said, "Miss, you the CEO?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Wow." I said, "Yes, today it's me, but tomorrow it could
Come
be
on
you."
now. That seed of hope. I love
And
it.
she just looked so perplexed, like, "Really? Like, you're saying that to me?" I can
Yes.
see it clearly.
Yes.
I said, all you need to do is make sure that you're following through on your schooling, your education. I said, come talk to me, and I could tell you more about how we can get you into my seat, because I'm not going to be able to be here forever. And then you too could have that car, because I saw the connection in her mind.
Right. The car
Was
to the
about the
success,
car,
of
to
course.
the success.
Right.
I feel like you meet people where they are. Wherever that is, you meet them where they are.
And again, if you recall earlier, when I said Lorna has the ability to connect and to bring that's a perfect example of how I just observed you doing that out in the world. I
thank you for having this podcast and having people be able to share, because I believe in mutual mentorship.
Yes.
People talk about mentorship, but it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
So the people listening are hearing, and you're providing that wisdom and nuggets from the people you're interviewing, but then it just keeps going.
Yes.
Because then someone else will share and talk about it. And so you're setting the stage for wisdom building.
Love it. Love it.
So thank
Love
you
it.
for having me.
Oh, this has been, like, I feel full. My heart feels open. My soul feels full. I just want to thank you for taking the time to be a part of the Life Podcast. And listeners, if you enjoyed the podcast, leave us a comment. Let us know.
Yes.
Lorna wants, I think the biggest gift you can give a person is letting them know how their words or their actions, how it's changed something for you.
It refuels us. Yes.
So I am Anissa Rashad. This is the Life Podcast, reminding you and challenging you to live inspired fully every day. As always, we thank you for taking the time to listen to the Life, Live Inspired Fully Every Day podcast. If you enjoyed the show, by all means, subscribe. While you're at it, do your friends, colleagues, and family a favor and share. There are thousands of podcasts available in iTunes, so help others to make the same choice you did by leaving a review. We love to hear from you, so leave us a question and maybe we'll select your question to answer on our next episode. The show notes that list all of the books, tweetables, and companies we referenced are all available at lifebyAnissa.com. Until next week, I am Anissa Rashad, executive coach and leadership strategist, challenging you to live inspired fully every day.